We are exactly 21 days from Monday Night Football, Bears Vikings. It is getting close, but we're giving the final reactions to a 38-0 beatdown of the Buffalo Bills. Adam Rank from the NFL Network, Shayne Marsaw, Phil Atoshian from the Tape Never Lies Network. We're going to be talking about it all. Final discussions on a great preseason showing from the first team offense. We're talking about it all on CHGO Bears After Dark starting right now. Welcome back to CHGO Bears After Dark, presented by our good friends over at Circa Sports Illinois and Empire Today. We appreciate their support to the program. As always, I am your host, Greg Braggs Jr. We appreciate you hanging out here on this Monday evening as we are putting the finishing touches on week 2 of the preseason and the impressive showing that the Chicago Bears had. And joining the show, as we always do here on Monday nights, is Adam Rank once again from the NFL Network and Shayne Marsaw from the Tape Never Lies Network. Phil Atoshian will be joining us in here in just a little bit, but let's get into it. Hit that like button while you're hanging out. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be talking about everything from the game last night. But Rank, since we haven't seen you here in a few weeks on these airwaves, I wanted to give you the full runway to kind of air out the clip, man. I mean, it was a fun night for Bears fans last night. Well, I did you that time. That was me. That was me. How dare I?
What I just
First
said
day back
was the most insanely profound thing that's ever been uttered by me, and it was lost by the mute button. That's fair. It's what I expect, and that's what I deserve coming back after a couple of weeks off. But, I'm so happy because as wonderful as it was for us there on Sunday night, and it was wonderful, it was equally as frustrating for the Caleb haters. Now, obviously, they're sitting there. They're ready to go. They've got 2 tweets queued up. One is like, hey, bro, chill out. It's just preseason. And the other one is like, oh, he's a bust. You should have drafted anybody other than him. So they just used the preseason one. And it's interesting to me because everybody who's been preaching that it's just preseason were also the same people who are making fun of Caleb Williams for missing the net in practice. Apparently, one was more important than the other. We know, and people just have an agenda. But I think that if you looked at this objectively, and I've spent a lot of time today getting outside of the Bears bubble, I have not talked from a single person who is born near Sandwich or Hoffman Estates or Oswego or Sterling or anything like that. I wanted an outside view. And I'm talking about Patrick Claybon, Cynthia Freeland, Kendall Valenzuela, mostly fantasy people, but still just trying to get an honest opinion of what they saw last night. And I think they're all in concert in saying it was impressive. Caleb Williams looked like he was in command of the offense, got rid of the ball quickly, looked like the quarterback that the Bears fans have been waiting for quite some time now. And we can't help but be encouraged by what we saw. And I don't want to speak too long before we get Shayne an opportunity to talk, but I want to bring up one quick little thing. And in this of all the great throws that Caleb had, and I know Dan Weeder was out there being like, not sharp in the second series. Hey, Dan, a little disingenuous. And I would tell you, I'm telling you this to your face, and I will give you my phone number. If you're a fan, come on my show. You can also come on the Sick Podcast if you want to. I will say this. That second series, I feel like, was one of the most impressive from Caleb Williams because the screen pass gets blown up, and he's like, you know what? Boom. He just dumps it at the guy's feet, lives to play another day. He finds Roma Dunze wide open on third down. Roma Dunze, who would admit this himself, dropped one. And that happens. It's football. It's no big deal. I'm not going to sit there and say they look less sharp. If you want to talk about the team, Caleb was fine. that's the issue that I had. But I thought it was a wonderful night. I haven't stopped celebrating, and I can't wait for this to happen for real.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The first series where they, scored a touchdown and obviously looked impressive, with, matriculating down the field with throws to the tight ends. And then all of a sudden, Olam Zakias breaks free, similar to almost the exact same play we saw in training camp in the joint practice on Friday against the Bills. And that was against the ones. Thank you very much. Against a defense that probably was giving a much more complex look in a private, environment like that. So, things are translating. But in that second series, they had 8 plays on that first series, and on that drop, which, obviously Rome wants back, but he's been great here at camp so far. So I don't think that's an indication of what to expect from him. They had 7 plays on that drive, and had he come down with that catch, I think one of the themes you're seeing, Shayne, through these first 2 games are long drives where they're really just kind of death by 1,000 cuts against the defense they're going up against.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you talk about the long drives, Greg, but they have the ability to be the quick strike that we are not used to here in Chicago. Phil and I were talking earlier. You saw more attempts down the seam to a tight end yesterday than you did through 10 games last year. And I'm not being facetious there.
No,
that's the sad part. And you have Cole Kmet. That's one thing that Cole can excel at, but you just didn't do it. And they come out, and what I loved about Ben Johnson on the sidelines was just the confidence in how he was locked in. I mean, I was bought in. I'm like, I don't even want these guys to kneel down at the end of the game.
Yeah. Look how mad he is. They're up 28-0, and look at this picture. He's furious.
Right. Yeah. But that is called setting the tone and setting your culture. And he knows way better than either of us, what went wrong and what he wanted and, certain expectations. But I do want to say one thing that Adam brought up, and I couldn't agree more with all of these people. When they want to trend towards the negative with everything with Caleb Williams, when they speak on it, everything is definitive. It's the final answer. There's no outside framework to it of what, the chaos that he was surrounded by. But now they're so timid and afraid to give him any positivity. It's framed just like Adam said, it was only preseason, but are they doing that with Jaden Daniels? Are they doing that with Bo Nix? Are they doing it with Jalen Hurts or whomever is out there? No, they're doing it with Caleb Williams. And come on. Colin Cowherd last night, was that a bolt of lightning?
Right.
Going off, or was that Caleb? Stop. If we were on TTNL right now, I would tell them exactly what I think of them. But out of respect for CHGO, I'll tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, no, Coward certainly. I mean, he's Hogue was joking about it. We went to lunch earlier, and he goes, "Man, he goes from this guy is gonna be a bust or not generational to he's Brett today. He's saying he's comparing him to Brett Favre. It's like the swing of the pendulum.
Yeah, the ultimate risk taker. That's another. I saw that they went from Johnny Football to Brett Favre.
Right.
That was
the point Hogue made was like, you're comparing him to Brett Favre, which last night was the least Brett Favre-like game to like, that wasn't even the comp last night.
No, that was, I don't want to start throwing the superlatives around, but like people were comparing him, and I think it was on Cowherd's show, to Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, are we at risk of him being a Johnny football guy? And you're like, he already has more yards than Johnny football. Like that's impossible. Somebody else, I think it was not Andy Perloff, but his co-host, she's like, that's not like the vibes. And then I watched that clip further, and it wasn't Andy. Andy wasn't in on that. It was some other guy being like, yeah, and I just don't like JJ McCarthy. They weren't even like, none of it was based in anything of like, this is a troubling trend that I've seen. He's not doing this. He's not like that stuff that I can kind of get along with. I can kind of get down with and be like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. If somebody has a reasoned take, when we had David Carr join us, Greg and I had him on the Sick podcast a couple of weeks ago. some of the things that David's bringing up, you're like, all right, that's fair. I don't expect him to be the finished product after 17 games in the NFL. I'll hear the criticism. I will still point out some things that Caleb did that he needed to improve on from last year. And so I'm open to that. I want to be open. It's like having a coach in golf. Like, I want to know what I'm doing wrong.
Yep.
Like, even like, tell me, like, I want to fix this. And I think similarly, that's what we want for Caleb. You can't walk away from that game last night having any other thought other than Caleb looked like the quarterback we wanted him to be. And for everybody who's so quick to be so definitive, like, why aren't they saying, because like people are like, well, you still wish you had Jaden Daniels. I'm like, what about that whole thing made you think we would want Jaden Daniels? Like, if that's the way Caleb's going to play, why would we want anybody else? Like, I'm perfectly fine. I'm very satisfied with Caleb Williams at the moment.
Well, and let's hope that Ben Johnson becomes the kind of guy that people start, making the excuses for Caleb's success through the play caller, like you saw with Jaden last year. I think Jaden Daniels is a terrific quarterback.
Right.
And a lot of people, oh, well, he's a one-read quarterback. He's a system quarterback under Cliff Kingsbury. He was just drawing up these one-read throws. Well, if the one read is open, then throw it. And last night you saw that on the first play action boot. You get Colson Loveland out in the flat. It's a very simple play. It's not reinventing the wheel. It might feel like it in Chicago because we haven't had competent offensive play callers ever. But that's its easy throw. So then the one over the top. You got the high low. Colson Loveland comes over the linebackers. It's a good ball, but it's a wide open Colson Loveland. And so let's hope by week 5, 6, people are like, well, it's because of Ben Johnson. I don't really care who you credit it to, as long as the yards and the touchdowns start stacking up. And so for me, it's going to be interesting to see how everything comes together. I mean, last night was exactly what the doctor ordered. When you talk about what happened last weekend with the joint practice with the Dolphins, where it didn't go great, it started decent and then finished ugly in the joint practice. Then you go to the preseason game number 1, starters don't play, and you're just kind of left with questions. They show up to practice the next day on Monday, and it was sloppy. And so now this week, you fast forward, they have 3 straight good practices, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They stood toe-to-toe with the Bills. It wasn't a perfect practice, but they traded punches with a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. Yeah. And now you come in here on Sunday night, and they didn't play their starters. Bears can't control that, and they did what they were supposed to do. The starters beat the brakes off the second team Bills, and then that just continued as the depth chart kept trickling down, because Tyson Bagent didn't let off the gas either, and neither did Austin Reed. Austin Reed looked good when he came in.
Really good.
So I think you're just seeing an implementation of what Ben Johnson's executions philosophy and standard is going to be. And so that's encouraging for all of us as Bears fans. He said after the game, it's not about it wasn't about scheme last night. It was about playing with aggressiveness. Yeah. And so you saw that. You saw the confidence. And I brought the stat up at the end of the CHGO Bears afternoon show here earlier today. So I'll bring it here to start it here in A block before we get to, our second segment. And Phil Atoshian is going to be joining us here shortly. But the Bears had 53 plays in the first half. And of the 53 plays, only one play were they not lined up and set with more than 10 seconds left on the play clock. Only one time did it get under 10 seconds. And 23 times, it might have been 25 times out of those 53, because the TV broadcast didn't always have the play clock up. 25 times where they had 15 seconds or more on the play clock when they got to the line of scrimmage and were set. And so that just becomes a trickle-down effect of getting Caleb Williams comfortable, getting his eyes on the defense to see what he's looking at, getting his protections in line, identify the mic. If you got to check out of something, you got a motion. And then they started switching things up where, they at times went tempo and they'd get up to the line of scrimmage and snap it right away. Other times they'd walk up to the line of scrimmage and be methodical with it. That throws off the pass rush. And so I just think from an order of operations standpoint, if we're going to harp on for the last 3 weeks, the delay of games, the pre-snap penalties, and those are the things that Caleb needed to dial in the most, then when they execute it properly, and yes, they're doing their job, and this is football 101, it can be acknowledged and it can be applauded. We're not throwing a parade here tonight.
Right.
It's exciting. It's encouraging. I think we're all looking forward to 3 weeks from right now when kickoff 7:15 as the clock sits right now. Kickoff would be going underway here in 3 weeks. And we're seeing the progress, but it's just encouraging to see how Ben Johnson has kind of got the clean operations for one game at the very least intact. Let's see if they play their starters here on Friday. It sounds like from what I heard earlier, Andy Reid said he will play his starters on Friday. So maybe that'll, give Ben a reason to play. I know after the post-game show after the post-game presser, when Ben Johnson spoke to the media, he kind of hinted, and Brad Biggs pointed this out, where he said, this is a good opportunity for us to simulate going on the road and going through.
They should play.
They should 100% do that for that very reason. Even if it's
for a series. Yeah, even if it's for a series. All right, you earned that because of the way you played today. Doesn't have to be a full. I'd play a full half, but I'm a caveman. So, hey, we're all meatballs here. It's Meatball Island here on CHGO Bears After Dark. Please hit that like button. That's right. We are live after every single game all season long. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everybody hanging out. And when we come back on the other side, we'll bring Phil Atoshian, who we affectionately call Draft Dr. Phil, into the discussion, and we'll just continue to look at some of the things that went right for the Bears last night against the Buffalo Bills in preseason game number 2. So stick with us, and we'll be back here in 2 minutes. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to help elevate your summer. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 different strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations all across the city, in Wrigleyville, right down the street from the Marquee, to the suburbs in Champaign. And if you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands we know you'll love. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO to check out to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 or older or Illinois medical card holders. For existing users, use the promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item. And then, of course, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Circa Sports. Appreciate Circa Sports always. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circa Sports has it for you. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. We're only 3 weeks from right now to Monday Night Football for the Chicago Bears. You can bet on that right now. The lines are already up for week 1, so make sure you lay down your bet on the Bears and download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Make sure you're hitting up Circa Sports, Illinois. That's right. Appreciate everybody hanging out here on CHGO Bears After Dark. Hit that like button for Adam Rank, Shayne Marsaw, and now coming into the show, Phil Atoshian here. Welcome to the program, man. I know that we've kind of been going through things here in the first A block and discussing the game last night. I was asking Shayne where you guys were last night. I know you guys had some scheduling conflict. I always look forward to hearing what you guys had to say. So the floor is yours, Phil, for everything that you saw in terms of the execution and the delivery that Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams brought last night.
Yeah, I think it was a great showcase for all the doubters and haters of Caleb Williams that has been the soap opera of the summer and spring and even the fall, that when you have competence in coaching, the talent will rise to the top and to the occasion. And I don't know anybody coming away from that game last night unless you just have hate in your blood for Caleb Williams that doesn't see the enormous difference in talent that he has. we're talking about steps and throws and rhythm, planting the feet. I thought Greg Olson did a great job. His partner, not so much on the broadcast, explaining the difference and the confidence in Caleb Williams. He has an authentic, easy throwing motion that's so pretty when it's blocked right, and you saw it. And his delivery to the tight ends in Cole Kmet and the rookie Loveland, you saw him go down the field and then hitting for the touchdown. And overall, I think a lot of people miss out, and obviously I really don't watch the national media because it's putrid in their flip-floppage. So I'll say it like this.
We have a member of the national media right here.
I watch him because it's Uncle Adam. But in regards to, I mean, the flip-floppage of Adam has never.
Rake is kind of like
that.
Obi-Wan Kenobi for us. With
he is the
he's our only hope
of Caleb Williams' talent. He recognizes it. So for me, Greg, it was just really fun to watch a competent play caller in rhythm of what you're trying to do philosophically and having counter plays to those things, as well as being able to use Caleb Williams' ability there in the running game too. I love what Britton Brown brought to the table. Really decisive, instinctive runner, hitting it downhill. That's what you need there. And as well as our guy coming off injury there. I thought he looked really good as well, not getting a lot of publicity there. I also thought Tyson Bagent, you want your backup quarterback to be able to kind of be a copy of what you want to do with your starting quarterback. And Tyson played a heck of a football game as well, hitting the throws that were necessary, moving out of the pocket. The offensive line did a tremendous job. All of them, even the second team, I thought, Amagaji and Newman. Hello, Newman. He was outstanding as well as Theo Benedict. I don't know how much you got into in regards to that, but I thought the offensive line was the story of the game with their fundamental techniques. Hand placement was good all around. The only one that was a Debbie Downer continues to be Braxton Jones. In a couple areas, once again, allowing inside pressure, getting overset. So those were my notes, really. Caleb,
yeah, it was interesting. Phil, sorry to cut you off, but when you talk about Braxton and I honestly, I thought for the most part he held up, but last night, Ben Johnson said it was going to be big for his evaluation of like how this is going to go for the left tackle spot, and he said, I'm paraphrasing essentially. I was going to try to pull up the quote, but I don't want to be stammering here. But he basically said, like, I don't want. Like, we got to slow down so we don't lose fast. And so I thought that was interesting. Sounds like something out of Dr. Seuss. But, when you break it down, it kind of makes sense. Like, all right, if you're going to lose, because you're going to lose reps in the NFL. You're going up against some of the best on the edge, especially at left tackle. Yeah. But if you're going to lose, don't lose so quickly and do everything you can.
I'll decipher it for you and translate. Right. An offensive line coach wants you to focus on your technique. When you're in a hurry or you're getting nervous, you lose your steps and your relationship to the rusher. And this happens a lot with Braxton.
Yeah, the best way to lose fast is to lose to the inside, and he's done that the last 2 weeks.
2 games.
Yeah.
2 games he's done it. It's a concern for me in regards to that. No doubt. I thought Benedict and Amagaji played a hell of a lot. I thought Amagaji, again, you're going up again. People are going to say that, but you only go up against who you are lined up against.
Yeah.
Shayne said something on the phone earlier in the show. If Caleb went out there against second stringers and performed poorly, they would be killing him.
Yeah.
But once he goes out there and lights it up, now it's against second. You can't have it both ways in football.
Oh, they can. You don't understand, Phil. That's exactly what they do. Everybody comes in with an agenda.
Yep.
There was nothing to a certain segment of the population. There was nothing Caleb was going to be able to do. It was either you're going up against backups or you're a bust. The people were watching. Commanders fans are watching that game. They were just waiting to see which tweet do I send out, because I'm sending out one of them. And I always find it ironic. Sorry, I know I'm cutting you off, but I always find it interesting that I don't get a lot of this from Vikings fans, not a lot from Denver fans, because I think Denver fans and I get along, but it's always the Commander fans. Like, what are they scared of? What are they ultimately? Are they worried? Because the amount of volume and vitriol that comes from the Commanders fans leads me to believe they're not convinced that their guy is as good as Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from there, because, I think I saw Chase Daniels say, like, Bears fans, I think, are scarred from the last few years and they won't get hyped up, and it's okay to be excited about this coaching staff. And I do feel that a little bit because of what you're saying right there with Washington fans getting too chirpy. I feel like the last couple of years, and maybe I'm just projecting on what I went through as a fan the last few years, but I felt like the last couple of years I was getting a little ahead of my skis, maybe way over my skis, being way too hyped up this time of year. And maybe ultimately deep down I knew, because I was trying to hope something into existence. Whereas this time around, I'm very excited for what Ben Johnson can bring here going forward. I'm very intrigued. I'm very encouraged. Everything looks right, but at the same time, I'm not losing my mind yet. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just Ben Johnson setting the tone of the standard around here. I mean, Phil, we pulled it up earlier, but this look on his face, up 28-0, I think it's starting to trickle down to everyone, including myself, where it's like, all right, what they did last night, they did their job. And now, as opposed to last year where he lit up the Bengals this time of year, and I completely lost it on that postgame show because it was exciting. You can't help it. It's human nature. But now I think we're starting to get more of a perspective on what an actual standard is. So I think, to your point, Ranked, I think the more you hear someone talking, maybe like the Commanders or whoever, I think there's more deflection going on, and there's something deeper going on.
You know what it is? Honestly, it's having some success because of the coaching that he had, and now you're out in front, but you're now looking over your shoulder because, wait a second, Ben Johnson's with this enormous talent. Because I know what I know about football. You could say whatever you want. I've been around this game my whole life. I've never seen a quarterback as talented as this kid, on par with Andrew Luck. Those two were the best I've scouted. So when you attach him with this kind, just look at the offense yesterday, and I'll have the all 22. How many receivers were getting open that he had to choose from? Because you have an answer for the defense that's covering them. And you didn't have that with Shane Waldron and company. And when you have someone that understands leverage and getting to your right alignment and assignment, you're going to have success with this kind of accurate, athletic passer. It's just that simple. And that's why these Washington fans are nervous, because Caleb's coming. That's really what's going on right now.
Well, and we're going to find out, because after the bye week, they play the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football. I think those first few weeks are going to be, transformative for the Bears, and maybe there'll be some ups and downs. I certainly think there's some winnable games within those first four, but the Bears are going to have to find their way to scratch and claw their way to some victories. And then if they can find themselves with a little momentum heading into that Monday night game against Washington, it's at Washington, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We all know that they're going to play the Hail Mary 500 times that week, and so it'll be a lot of fun. I feel like that rivalry, potentially, especially with what happened last year, could be something that we see for years to come. And that's the fun of sports. Bring it on, but let's just hope it's an even fight on the Bears side of things. Ultimately, really, Washington was very lucky to win that game, but they also, while they won the battle in a lot of luck fashion, they won the war by getting to the playoffs and having the kind of success they had last year. So, now it's time for the Bears to respond.
I would say that we won ultimately, because had that game not happened and the Bears improved to 5-2, we were a win or two away from talking ourselves into keeping Matt Eberflus. Like, hey, we're showing some promise. We're winning some big games.
Who's we? Who's we?
I'm not the front office.
I know.
The Butterflus effect.
George.
But there is George could have easily been like, let's give him a shot. Let's see what he can
give him
do.
another
Let's
year.
give the kid. Well, the kid's doing all right. We're getting better. That was the kind of play that exposed the draw. I think it would be ultimately ironic if the Bears and Ben Johnson go out there and dominate for years, to be like, well, that helped. Thank you. That play is the one that helps launch the Bears, because it is something to be said. Like, there are certain plays and certain games that launch franchises, whether it's good or it's bad. And so this could be something that sets the Bears up for the future, because everything fell into place for the Bears to get Ben Johnson. So that might ultimately, so whenever they show that, and the people will be like, oh, rank, look away. Like, I don't even care anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. We got Ben Johnson. Like, show that play. I literally don't care one iota, because it's ultimately the best thing that could have happened to the Bears, and I'm good with it.
It's the Butterflus effect. I like this. This is the Butterflus effect.
Who put that
here on
Nicholas? Good job.
CHGO Bears After Dark. Appreciate everybody hanging out. We got a couple super chats we're going to bring into the discussion right now. O-Dog Pearson, $9.99 super chat says, just want to say, let's go. It's going to be fun this year. Absolutely, O-Dog. Appreciate you tuning in. It is going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be here every single day of the week here on CHGO Sports and CHGO Bears. It's our third show of the day here. We had the CHGO Bears show at noon, Hogan John's at 2. Make sure you go check out those shows. And now here we are on After Dark, holding it down here for our final kind of recap of last night's excellent performance by the Chicago Bears across the board. 38-0. That means the offense and the defense really held their own. Corey B, $5 super chat says, rank, I need to repeat as champ in my 12-team standard league that's full of Bears fans. How good of a year do you think Swift will have? Bear down.
All right. Well, first of all, if you don't mind me doing this, an hour before this show goes on the air, I have a show on the Sick Podcast Network called Fantasy Island. Today we had Kendall Valenzuela on from Fantasy Life. So every Monday we'll be doing fantasy questions. If this is something that interests you and you don't want to watch Fantasy Live, that's fine. I will be there answering questions like this. I will say, one of the big things to watch for this week with the injuries and guys being banged up, who are the Bears bringing in? If the Bears are not signing free agents off the street who will end up being on the roster, then that means it's a pretty good indication of what they feel about DeAndre Swift. And if they're not bringing in people to compete with DeAndre Swift, what it means is that he is going to have a big role in this offense. And the last time he was paired with Ben Johnson, he had 70 receptions out of the backfield. So there is a good opportunity for DeAndre Swift to be one of those quote unquote league winners in fantasy circles. So if you go out there, get your hero RB in the first or second round, get Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley. And then if your RB2 is DeAndre Swift, you have set yourself up for success.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting seeing how things shake out for the Bears, because I also think Olam Zakias is certainly going to throw a wrench in people's plans, as we saw last night with his long touchdown. And, we all know the way Ben Johnson utilizes that slot position. Rome Odunze is certainly going to get his, and DJ Moore is going to get in the action. And, Colson Loveland and Luther Burden looked the part, and that carried over from what we've seen at training camp into the preseason game. But I would say right now, the training camp MVP, if I had to pick one, only one, is Olam Zakias. He has been unbelievable in the way he, showed up in the preseason game as well. It's just a breath of fresh air. So, shout out to him. Zakias is really, OZ, as we're calling him, is just balling out right now. So be interesting to see where people grab him. I think Bears fans will be, keen to it, but outside of Bears Nation, who's going to be smart enough to pick up OZ? So we're going to be taking a quick, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we talked about that tonight. He's probably going to be somebody who will be available. He's not being drafted in fantasy leagues. And I think even week 1 against Minnesota, you might want to lay off. However, let's take a look at what that Lions defense looks like after week 1 against Green Bay. If it looks like it's going to be a high-scoring game between the Bears and the Lions, then Olam Zakias could be somebody to pick up on your waiver wire heading into week 2.
Yes, and Nicholas Olbrecht here is saying, Say it with me. Olamide. Olamide Zakias.
Olamide.
And I've
That
been
was me
saying
and
it right
Shayne's
for the
sleeper
majority.
signing of free agency. Just so
I've
you
been
know.
saying it right.
Olamide.
Olamide. I have been saying it right for the majority of the offseason, and then every once in a while I revert back incorrectly to saying
the
it.
Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz. That's right.
Yeah.
So appreciate your correction there, Nicholas. You're always keeping us on our toes 100%. And so we're going to continue this discussion. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Please hit that like button while you're hanging out for Adam Rank, Shayne Marsaw, and Phil Atoshian here on CHGO Bears After Dark. When we come back in 2 minutes, we'll talk about something the Bears did last night that they didn't do all of last season, and I'm going to let you know what that is here coming up in 2 minutes. Just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get that. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day of the week. We've all been to those big box stores. They might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring may have been laying bricks yesterday and could be in the Cubs bullpen tomorrow. And we both know you can't trust either of those currently. So make sure you're trusting Empire Today. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details. And then always call 588-2300 Empire. That's right. Shout out to Empire Today. And also, of course, got to shout out our friends over at True Fan Travel for the second year in a row. This is our third trip. Last year we went to Arizona, and of course we were in London. Ask any single person that went on those trips, worth the price of admission, and anybody will tell you that we had an unbelievable time. Well, we're doing it again here, week 4 of the regular season. That's right. We are headed to Viva Las Vegas. Once again, compliments of True Fan Travel, taking over the Strip, a 3-night stay. All the rooms are sold out at Mandalay Bay, but we got more rooms for you in the Luxor. And tickets to the game are included with your package when you sign up. That's important because tickets aren't easy to come by. It's going to be unforgettable experience with VIP parties. So don't gamble on missing the ultimate fan experience. Book your spot now at truefantravel.com and search CHGO Bears. Can't wait to see you guys out there. That's right. We're back here on CHGO Bears After Dark. Please hit that like button once again. And I had to give Karma's a Genius in the chat, which is, already a pretty wild, screen name here to be in the chat. To begin with. But he got a little timeout because he's shaking the tree a little too. It's all right if you don't want to agree. You don't have to wave the pom-poms. Nobody's asking you to, but don't alienate the chat. We got over 600 people watching here right now, late on a Monday night. While Monday night, we're going up against Monday Night Football here tonight as they're doing their trial run, to get ready for the season. And so for everybody tuned in, I appreciate you guys and all your support. He'll come back. Don't worry, Robert Lee. I don't ban anybody, but we don't need it. We don't need everybody just going at each other over one guy trying to kick up dust. So let's be civil. Let's enjoy this season. Let's not ruin. Don't spike the punch bowl here.
Can we get you to say Empire again, real quick?
Empire Today.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be working on my notes, but I teased before the break. Something the Bears did last night that they didn't do all of last season. As I said, no delay of games, no false starts. I don't think they gave up a sack until like the very end of the first half. So from a clean operation standpoint, they were really on point. We talked about how they got in and out of the huddle, but they did not score on their first. They didn't score a touchdown on their first drive of any game last season.
Yep.
So they still haven't. It's preseason. It doesn't count until they do it in the regular season. Let's hope they can do it against Brian Flores. But it just kind of underlines, Shayne, just how far we've come. They haven't scored an opening drive touchdown in 2 years. And last night, that just the way
Yeah, and I believe it was only 6 points on the season, right? On the first drives.
correct.
Was
Two
it two
field
field
goals
goals?
last year.
Crazy. Yeah, but that is what you get when you hear them talk about accountability. That means that Ben Johnson up 28-0. Put the picture up again. You see it. That's coaching.
Yeah.
He's not coasting. He probably just saw something on the field that he doesn't like from one of the backups that was in there. Doesn't matter that it's 28-0. You're going to do your job or you're not going to be out there. And that's what we've been begging for years.
The accountability. I hate that's the way I look when I'm coaching my soccer teams. We're up 4-0 and I will have that same expression on my face because you're always working on something. And I think for a lot of the preseason, there are guys out there trying to win jobs and trying. So, Sean McDermott or Bills fans or whatever, they can feel how they did about the Bears' intensity during that contest. But at the same time, there are a lot of guys out there. I know from my friend Tyler Scott, like it's not a joke to him. He's out there trying to be a member of the Chicago Bears. So if you guys think it's a fun time to be up 21-0 or whatever, like he's out there busting his behind trying to be make this roster. So yeah, like I like that Ben Johnson is keeping up that intensity throughout the entirety of the game.
Well, and
we have accountability with the competition for job instead of some politics stating who's making the team. So there is no block, no rock, and these comments that are actually a standard that is set for the first time, I believe, since Mike Ditka's been here. There is a hardline stance, no matter who you are on this roster, no matter where or what you've been drafted at or what you're getting paid, the competition is going to tell us who's playing and when they're playing. And that, to me, is the biggest thing I've wanted from a Chicago Bears head coach since I can't even remember. It's just never been there.
Yeah.
And now you're having, even the GM is laughing on the broadcast because that's Ben. I mean, he has his standard and that's it. The only thing I was pissed at Ben about, I thought he was going for 40.
Yeah.
He put on the brake. I was like, the way and I would have been fine with it because
100%.
You're setting a standard now. This is how we do things here under me in Chicago, and this is our culture. That's what it felt like. And those players played hard. The same thing was happening, Adam, with the Dolphins. Their reporters the Bears are so rough.
They're so mean.
They're so mean. And yeah, that's how the Chicago Bears should be. And that's what you need to bring into the season. And all of a sudden, the team is buying into that culture offensively and defensively. It's so refreshing to see this being played out right now.
Well,
everybody has a shot.
I think the number one word I think I've heard you say, Phil, I think what is it now? 8 years that I've known you is identity.
Yeah.
That's all I ever hear you talk about. And it was interesting because Ben talked about last week how they haven't really found their schematic identity of what they want to be as a team, whether it's outside zone or gap scheme run or shotgun or under center, which you saw, all of that last night. So they're still trying to figure out what their bread and butter is. But what he did say, what his identity is to be aggressive, play with physicality. And when you brought up no block, no rock, and Rank, you bring up the way Tyler Scott isn't playing around when he's getting his reps, even though it's 21-0, toe tap in the back of the end zone. You also saw that with Luther Burden, who's out there competing, second round pick, got a lot of flashiness, but now in 2 weeks, they've gotten him to buy into this blue collar mentality that this city, what I thought was so great about that, Luther Burden laying some mean blocks to help a running back get in the end zone. No block, no rock. Show me that what you do without the football, then you're going to get the football. Luther Burden, show me what you do on the second team to earn your reps because you got a long way to go with OZ in front of you and Roma Dunze and DJ Moore, those reps aren't going to be hard to come by, but he's out there competing his butt off. And that to me is a standard being set when you talk about the identity, Phil. And so now they're talking about it on the broadcast all the way into the fourth quarter. So how does that trickle down to the rest of the team? I don't have to score a touchdown to be featured on a Sunday night football broadcast because of the culture and the standard that
100%.
Ben Johnson is setting.
The team is a reflection of the head coach.
Yep.
Always been that way. And now you're seeing it.
It's been so elusive too. You know, it's actually one of the reasons why I like, this is going to sound stupid, why I like that Luther Burden is wearing 87, because it's such an old school thing for a receiver nowadays to wear a number in the 80s, where all these guys are worried about aura. Oh, look at the aura of this person. And it's like, I actually want somebody who will go out there and smack somebody in the mouth. It kind of reminds me of Hines Ward, like the way Hines Ward used to play football, where he took a real pride in the fact that he was knocking the S out of people, going out there and mowing dudes over like that being the thing that sets a standard. And honestly, thinking about this too, and I commented this earlier today where I was talking about, like, we really haven't had this since Ditka, like Buddy Ryan, like those type of days. And somebody was talking about Lovie Smith, and I said, okay, those teams were good. Like, they were good. I don't mean to besmirch Lovie Smith. I mean, everything got set in motion because Lovie Smith was the coach in Houston and everything. But like we really benefited by having some exceptional talent during that era, that if we had somebody, that if we were a little bit more hard-nosed, I think we would have dominated the NFC during that era. Like, people already didn't like to play us, but if we just had a little bit of a meaner personality, and God bless Lovie Smith, he is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. But if we had somebody who was a little bit meaner, who had that demeanor of Ben Johnson, I think the odds would have looked a little bit different.
I've been saying that for years since Greg's known me. Not to get into Lovey down or up, but the firing of Ron Rivera removed that personality on your coaching staff that was having a standard and a culture set. There was Lovey's ego gone the way there. But I totally agree with what you're saying. You haven't had that. This is who we are. You don't like it. Get out. Period. Yeah. Get me the guys that are going to buy into this.
That's the thing, Bill. You look back, even when like Matt Nagy was here, Matt Nagy always wanted to talk about, we're going to be a team that defaults to aggressive. Remember, going for it on fourth down. But then when you got to that point, you could see Matt Nagy was flustered, didn't really know what decision that he wanted to make.
Highlights in the Chargers game,
right?
Remember that where they get to
Jordan
the 50
Howard
yard, or they get to the 35-yard line. They have 50 seconds on the clock, and he doesn't go for it, and they kick the field goal, and he misses it. And after the game, he's asked, "Why didn't you run a couple plays?" Yeah. He was like, "Well, we could have had a false start. We could have taken a sack. We might have fumbled the ball." So there you go.
The first fourth down last night, I texted Phil. I'm like, they got to go for it here. They're in a perfect place to put it. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what am I doing? This is Ben Johnson. This is exactly what Ben Johnson does. Yeah, he knew what he was doing going into that, and it was seamless. They knew what they were running before they got out there. With Eberflus or Matt Nagy, they had no idea. Then, just like what you talked about previously, Greg, then you're at 8 seconds when the play call gets in. And here ensues the chaos.
Matt Nagy's lack of aggressiveness cost us the Super Bowl, because in that game against Miami, where they had the emergency start Brock Osweiler, and we tripped over ourselves for the majority of the game, we had a chance to win it. And he's like, I'm going to settle for this Cody Parkey 50-yard field goal attempt instead of trying to get, I don't know, maybe 10 yards closer. Like, so frustrating. I think that, and I'm hopeful that this is not going to be things that we have to worry about. We might not win every game. Everything might not be perfect. But if we're going out there and we're doing things and we feel good about the approach that we've taken in games, that's really all we can ask for at this juncture of the tenure of Ben Johnson.
I just want to piggyback back to what Greg said about identity. when a person, especially a football coach, not a soccer coach, not a baseball coach, a football coach is looking for their identity, you are the identity. You, coach. So you're setting the standard. This is what we do. And for the first time, a man that's ego is not some sort of narcissistic, phony thing. It's the reality of who he is. And it's coming off on the whole roster. And that's the identity that you will find and discover. This is who we are. And that's what you're getting. It's early in this preseason, but you could see in that picture, it paints it very well in a picture, but you could see how he steps to the podium. And I have never, since Ditka, I'm going back again, heard Coach Dan, the offensive line coach, Rashard, he just openly, authentically talked about his players. Well, Braxton needs to do that. He stinks at this, and he continues to be. And you're getting the truth. That is your identity. You're authentic. Your culture will just build from that, and that's why you're going to see the success. And guys that aren't going to buy into it, whether it be a DJ Moore, if he ain't buying into it, he'll be gone, because we can find DJ Moores. You can't find what your coach is bringing to the table here. And I'm with Adam 100%.
Yeah. Well, and when you talk about the identity, I think anybody that's tuned in here to this show, and we got quite a few viewers here tuned in, and I appreciate everybody tuned in, but the identity of what this show is for this season is passion. And so what we're doing here tonight, obviously anybody that watches our programming here on CHGO Bears, obviously there will be structure to these shows, and we'll break down different segments and dial into certain personnel stuff. But the roundtable discussion taking place right now is exactly what I envisioned with the three of these guys, because I gravitate towards passion and authenticity, and the three of these guys have that in bunches. And we've been friends, the four of us, for a long time now here. And Rank, you've always been such a big supporter of the three of us, and it means a lot to all of us. I think I can speak for Phil and Shayne when I say that. And so this is just a lot of fun to kick this around, and hope springs eternal this time of year. And we're 21 days from kickoff, and the bullets start flying for real. And when there'll be wins, there'll be losses, and some Mondays will be victory Mondays, will be fun, and some of those games after a loss and some of these shows will be not as fun. But that's what it's all about, is the passion. So it's about enjoying it right now while we're on the ride. And I think looking big picture at what the Ben Johnson era is going to be, I think it will require some patience in terms of how they develop this offense and the team in general. And it may take some time, and hopefully they can scratch out some wins early on while they're trying to figure out who they are as a team. But I can promise you what we do here every single day of the week. But on Monday nights, we're going to bring you authenticity and passion for the Chicago Bears because we live and breathe this team. So appreciate everyone tuned in. We only got a little bit longer here.
So wait, Greg, can I ask then, are you saying that we're the Ben Johnson of the CHGO shows?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, no doubt.
Let's go through the rest of these shows and figure out who the Nagy is. No, I'm joking.
I would just based off of what
Does Carm have his own show?
I would say I would say Phil is Eric Bieniemy. Rank, he might be Antoine Randall at this point.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but no, it's going to be a lot of fun this season. And so we got a few minutes here left on the show, so I kind of want to start to round third on this show. And obviously we've kind of been just talking big picture and not really dialed into anything specific. And Shayne, you're always so good at kind of identifying things that may have gotten missed by, all of us that are getting lost in the glamour of the first half and the series and the offense. And so I'm just curious, from your perspective, what stood out to you that you would think maybe not everybody caught, whether it's on the offensive side or even the defensive side of the ball, which I feel like no one in this city has talked about in the last 24 hours.
Well, I'm going to go to the defense because it's the aggressiveness throughout the ball game. It didn't matter what group was in there. Dennis Allen is bringing something different. We've all watched Chicago Bears games over the years, and when it was, where was your confidence level at 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 15? You're like, all right, they're going to give this up. It's going to be horrible. And they were playing 14 yards off the ball. Dennis Allen, I mean, they were ultra aggressive all night last night, and that is exactly what you want. And what Phil talked about, when you're setting a culture, when you're setting the tone with a young team especially, that matters. These guys don't want to sit back and zone. These guys want to get up, and they want to bump, and they want to be aggressive, and they want to blitz and everything. That's what they want to do. And this is what Dennis Allen is going to get them to do. And that was my biggest thing. They were relentless. I was right with Phil. I'm like, he wants to put up 40. He wants to. And I was there I don't care if it's preseason. Your team buys into that. Just like what Phil said with Dan Roshauer being honest about Braxton Jones. Dan Roshauer is not the only guy seeing that. You know who else is seeing it? Every offensive lineman that's on that line sees that. And then they see their offensive line coach go out there and give an honest assessment publicly, not just in the sanctity of the meeting room, publicly, because that's even worse for Braxton Jones. And that's what we're talking about forever here when we're talking about setting the culture from top to bottom. It doesn't matter if you're Braxton Jones. It doesn't matter if you're Caleb Williams. It doesn't matter if you're Tremaine Edmonds. Anybody. All of these guys are going to be held accountable. But I know I went off script there a little bit, but Dennis Allen and the aggressiveness, I think it's gonna translate.
Well, I saw some fans saying it double safety blitz in the fourth quarter is diabolical while you're up 40-0. And also, I don't know if you caught this because I know it was late on the East Coast, but after the game, Ben Johnson revealed that in the second half, Al Harris called plays on defense and Declan Doyle called plays on offense. And what I loved about that fact is you didn't notice it because on offense, Austin Reed was operating the same way Tyson was, the same way Caleb was. And Al Harris is calling plays. Well, we all thought it was Dennis Allen because of how aggressive they were, because a week ago against the Dolphins at the end of the game, there was an opportunity on 4th down, and I dialed up the blitz on them too. So when you talk about the consistency, Phil, you mentioned your backup quarterback needs to mirror the starting quarterback. Well, the backup coordinators, the backup play callers are mirroring, the play callers there. So, the symmetry right now just feels right.
There's no clever acumens here. There's just a standard, and it's honesty. And if you come to the podium and you speak authentically, you as a head coach, that's all I've been waiting for. And you're not kowtowing. You're not worrying about the ownership and what they might think. You're not worried about anything but the truth. That is Chicago. That has been missing. All the politics have gotten in the way of the real identity. And it's not building a stadium, and it's not that. It's football. It's the Chicago Bears. And I think Ben Johnson understands this more than any coach I've seen in Chicago since Ditka. Everybody can say what they want about Ditka. It was because of him that he took the bullets. He was the character. He was the truth slayer. He didn't care about the mechanic. He called out the ownership. He called out the players. And guess what? It works because it's the truth. And that's all fans. That's all I want to see from our football team. Today, we didn't live up to the standard here. That is the coach. Last night, they did. And I don't care who they're playing, and what Chris Canty says, and what Dan Orlovsky flip-flopping is saying. I care about what is being put on tape. And right there, you saw a dynamic, versatile offense within a tremendous talent at quarterback, coupled and partnered with a running game. And that's really the answer here.
Absolutely. And a quick reminder to become a diehard at CHGO Sports. You go to allchgo.com/diehard to sign up. We have a lot of great offers at your disposal when you do. And we have reached overtime here on CHGO Bears After Dark here with Adam Rank from NFL Network and Shayne Marsaw and Phil Atoshian from the Tape Never Lies Network. And you are watching CHGO Bears After Dark here on CHGO Sports. The three families coming together, celebrating, a refreshing win last night where you saw a lot of positive signs from this Bears team. And there's been a lot of questions of the development and what scale that's being done at training camp, with some ups and some downs and how everything looks. And last week, me and Phil and Shayne certainly took our rounds at our disagreement with the coaching staff of not playing the starters. And it was nice to see them come around to a different philosophy this week, because to me, what they did last night, you can't replicate in any joint practice. You can't replicate with 80 snaps before a preseason game, playing against air. What happened last night, getting in and out of the huddle, getting the call into your headset. The headset shuts off at 15 seconds, right? Well, you don't have a headset and a helmet on the sidelines at joint practices. So these are things that they were able to simulate last night that you cannot replicate. And then the success they had is just a stepping stone in the right direction for these guys to build up their confidence. And any mistakes they made, now they get to look at this, go to the drawing board and take it and try to, apply it to how they're going to fix things here coming up in a few weeks. It was nice to see Jalen Johnson out on the practice field before the game. Looks like he's ready to go. Shamar Turner has been putting his uniform on Friday and on Sunday for early warmups. He obviously hasn't gotten into the action yet. Bears certainly took some injuries, sustained some injuries during the game last night, so we'll have to wait for some of those updates here in the middle of the week. But a lot of things to look forward to. This next preseason game certainly going to come very quickly here on Friday night against the Kansas City Chiefs. I do think there's a very good chance that the Bears play their starters, but we'll just have to wait and see on that announcement from Ben Johnson as padded practice on Wednesday resumes. And then we'll I think we'll have our answer by then if I had to guess, but we shall see. I don't know if you guys got any final thoughts. I know we've been kicking it around here. It's getting late and everybody, we all do 8 shows a week. So we can hang this thing up unless anybody's got anything profound they want to finish with.
Play them versus KC. That's all I'm going to say.
Let them play. Let the kids play. That's all I got.
Do you have the bad news Bears chant, Adam?
Let them play. Let them play.
Guy Finley here in the chat, $4.99 super chat, said needed to stop in to say shut it, Braggs. Sorry, me and Guy are having I've been for whatever reason I've started a rivalry with like 5 people that consistently show support to our shows every day, but it's just what
it's good to do that, Greg.
Yeah,
I believe in that as well.
Yeah. Brad Hassey, my good friend, jumping in for a $4.99 super chat.
Blank check.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Brad. Love you, buddy. Appreciate you tuning in. Brawl Sack, $10 super chat. Last night's victory tasted almost as fine as that Cantina chicken burrito exclusively at Taco Bell. Hashtag CHGO as we continue to give Taco Bell free publicity here on the program. And finally, on a more serious note, Steve 34 Bears, he mentioned it on his pregame show. Says rest in peace to his mom. Not only got a win, but a shout out. Thanks for the love, CHGO and everyone else here. And Steve, obviously we said it on the pregame show yesterday, but heart goes out to you, man. Hopefully you enjoyed the game last night, and hopefully, our programming gives you a little bit of escape from some of the things you're going through. So our thoughts are with you. Appreciate you always tuned in. So I think that wraps things up for tonight. We will be back every Monday night here for CHGO Bears After Dark. Obviously, CHGO Bears programming goes all week long, so we'll have a show tomorrow at noon, padded practice on Wednesday, pre and post on Friday. The Brick by Brick podcast with Lance Briggs and Jerry Azuma will be on Thursday. So plenty of content still to come at you, and I know Adam Rank with the Sick podcast is really hammering home the fantasy aspect of things. I know some people earlier had some fantasy questions, and I know leagues are starting to drop right now. So make sure you're following Adam for all that content. And obviously, our fearless leader on Meatball Island, holding it down on the national stage. And then, of course, Phil and Shayne, Phil Atoshian and Shayne Marsaw from, you're not married. If Phil Atoshian and Shayne Marsaw had a baby, Stacey Dales. No, but from the Tape Never Lies Network, these guys are doing a great job breaking it down. And we're excited for Phil to get to some of the all 22 breakdowns here. You better get back to work here.
It's in the folder, ready to go.
You're a busy man,
definitely going to be looking at it this week. So, pay attention. And I'm coming to Chicago, Greg. I can't
That's
wait.
right. 21 days before Phil, comes to Chicago for the home opener. He'll be at the tailgate. So make sure you get your tickets.
Going to be in the Bajan arm wrestling competition.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, maybe Travis will be there, and we can have Carmen and Travis have an arm wrestling competition. But hey, shout out to Tyson Bajan. He had a great night last night. So, but we won't tell Carm because he's on vacation. So I don't know if there's any correlation for how good the Bears played without Carm's presence around. So that wraps things up. Appreciate everybody tuned in. Once again, hit that like button on your way out. And we'll catch up with you tomorrow afternoon at noon. And CHGO Bears After Dark will be here 1 week from today. So always keep your head up and always bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.